If you've ever felt intimidated by the huge variety of shawl shapes there are out there, well, this video is for you. In this video for our Ask a Knitter series, we're going to start delving into what the different shawl shapes are and how to break them down, how they're going to be worn in your body. You may perhaps have different preferences for how to wear a shawl. So the shape you're going to wear can have a big determining factor on which one you're going to like the best. So let's jump right in and get talking about the first of the shawl shapes. So first off, we're going to take a look at side-to-side shawls. Knitting a shawl from side to side, you're going to start over on one tip with just a few stitches. And then no matter what the shape, you're going to be working increases down one side to get to the full width that you want. So this is the full width for this, and this is the full width for this. If you've got one that's got more of a curve, you've got a section here in the middle that's just going to be worked straight across. You might even possibly have some short rows like that, just little wedges to create more rows in the bottom, which will create more of a curve. When you're doing just a triangle, it'll come down to the deepest point, stop, probably more or less straight away or just a couple of rows. You'll start doing your decreases up along this side. So with this one, you'll again be doing decreases. This is going to be a little straighter here, but the curve is going to be created by having a straight section, probably one with some short rows. So that's going to be your side-to-side shawl. So the first one we have here is a fairly shallow shawl shape. This is called Ishka, and I actually almost think of it a little bit like a glorified scarf. And in fact, if you like wearing scarves, this shawl type is going to be very, very appealing to you because of the fact that basically the edges are nice and narrow, so they can be worn exactly like a scarf, wrapped very tightly, and you can decide how deep the middle of it is. So with this shape, you're going to start with a tip with just a few stitches. Generally speaking, the top of it is going to be straight, and then you'll have, I'll just hold it to the side here, you'll have increases working out along here. If you go very quickly, you'll get a very triangle shape. If you go slowly, you'll get just a very long extended tail, or more scarf-like basically. Then when you reach the middle of the shawl here, where it's at its fullest width, you can either pretty much immediately turn around and come back to narrow it in again to do decreases down the other side, or you can actually make it a little wider at the middle, and you can extend that a little further. So that one is a fairly shallow one. It's a thick yarn. It's I think this is a worsted weight yarn, so it's going to mean that you aren't going to get a whole pile of rows. So the increases in this are worked fairly slowly as you go along. It's not every right side row. I think it might be in every second right side row as you go along, so that it increases very, very slowly, giving you a very shallow shape that's closer to a scarf. The second version of this here is the Burman shawl. So you can see it's make sure you can actually see the full length of it. Put it up like this is probably best. It's again started at the tip. You've got a really interesting cable running along here, and the top part is straight and the increases are all down here. But what you will notice is this is much deeper. Look how much deeper it is right in the middle of it here. So I'd hold it up here and it comes all the way down to here. So a very deep shawl with a nice big section in the middle that is worked straight. So that's quite different from the Ishka one, but the basic way it's constructed is exactly the same. The other version that would be a variant on this again would be something like the Sea Bubble shawl, whereby you initially have those increases, and then to get a nice curve in the middle, there's actually some short row wedges worked across, whereby you can basically just extend the bottom out and give a nice big curve across the bottom. So the same basic principle goes for all of them. You have your increases, you have a straight section, which may be very short, making it more like a triangle, or maybe very wide, giving it a curve, or it might possibly even extend further, whereby you're going to have short rows so that you create a curve in the bottom, and then the second side you have decreases going up along the second side. So they're the basic variants on those side-to-side shawls. So the second kind we're going to look at is triangular shawls. For our triangle shawls, the basic top-down triangle will start with the garter tab here with just a few stitches. Then you will have one increase here, one increase here, one increase here, and one increase here every right side row. So you're going to continue to increase all the way down till you reach the end here. So it creates a very perfect triangle shape for you that is going to be, this depth is going to be the same as this width here, although you can block it where this is a bit wider, but it is going to be quite a deep shawl. This triangle shawl again starts with just a few stitches, but this side stays straight and all of the increases happen over on this side to create this triangle, and this would be your bind off here. This one obviously isn't going to be quite as deep or as wide as this is going to be when you get up there. The other alternative that I was showing is one where you start off with the tip here, increase across here to get to this point here. All of your live stitches are there, and then this was the cush farrago where I started down here with the cast on and increased out this side and joined the stitches at this side with the live stitches along there and bound off along there. So there are 3 different variations for creating a triangle shaped shawl. This style is one that a lot of us are where we get introduced to shawl shapes. I know it's the very first shawl I would have done was triangular, which would be known as top-down triangle, where you start in the middle with usually a garter tab or some kind of a tab so that you don't have a gap in the top. Then you're going to have increases on each side of the central spine and each side out here. So it grows out into a triangle at that point. That's your most basic top-down triangular shawl. Our cush farrago is a very good example of that. So it gives you, it's a very basic shawl shape, but you see how big the triangle becomes. It starts up here. You can see there are the 2 central increases, and it increases off across like this. So you can see this style shawl gives you a nice deep depth at the bottom, and it's going to give you the same width around each side. So when you wear it like this, you can pop it over your shoulders. Sometimes you can also, bunch it up. I don't want to knock the microphone. Bunch it up and wear it where you've got more of a scarf, but it is going to be a lot deeper down the middle. So if you don't want a deep shawl, then a standard triangle may not be for you. There's a couple of other variants in triangles, because of course triangles can be made in lots of different ways. This one here is the Canuck shawl, and this is one that is done from side to side. So it is again a triangle, but you can see it looks like it is biasing because you start over here. You're starting at the very tip. This side stays straight and you increase all the way along this side here until you get to your cast off. So you see, if you hold it like this, this is the actual, the bottom of the shawl, and all of those increases are up here. But when you're wearing it, you're going to be, let me turn it around, you'll take the longest length, which is across here, and you can wear it like so. So very similar shape wearing wise, but because of the fact that you're knitting it with increases at one side, but then you're wearing it in another angle, it actually creates quite an interesting little biased effect, because all of your stitches when you're worn are going to be sitting sideways. But it's a very straightforward one to knit because you're just increasing out along here. It's going to give you a fairly deep or fairly wide section at the end. You can even change that a little bit because this shape has got it where you're increasing every single right side row. But if you did every second right side row, it's going to give you an angle like this, but it will be much shallower. So you can vary it a little depending on how deep or how shallow you want it. And then the final one for the type of triangles would be something like cush farrago. And this is a variant on the Canuck, because what it started with was a triangle where you're just increasing out one side up along here, and then from here all the way over to here you have live stitches, but the second half of it is knit from the bottom up. So you start here and you're increasing out this way this time, but you're connecting the last stitch of each on this side. So again, it gives you a big shawl, But what's interesting about this is it allows you to take the same stitch pattern but work it in 2 directions. So because a triangle is a very geometric thing, you can kind of create it or put it together in all sorts of different ways, and it's going to give you a really interesting shawl shape. So just decide which you prefer to wear, which you prefer to knit as well, I suppose. And I think that particularly the side to side lends itself to slightly heavier yarns because it grows very quickly and you can see very easily how you want to shape it. Often these ones with a little crescent, if you don't want it too deep, you can make it slightly finer, but then add short rows to add a little bit more depth or width across the back. Final shape I'm going to talk about today is a lot more basic, and this one would be our Diora wrap, where it's just a wrap, where what you're doing with this is similar to a scarf, and but it's just worked much longer and it's wider than a scarf. So I would think of a wrap. A rectangular wrap is similar to a scarf, it's just a little bit wider, so you can wear it wrapped around your shoulders. It makes a really good addition for evening wear, or if you want to do something a little bit ornate, you can do it in a very light fluffy mohair style yarn, so it just floats across your shoulders. So think of it similar to a scarf, but maybe twice as wide as a scarf when you're doing a rectangular wrap. Particularly good for evening wear, and just think about how it drapes, what it looks like. It's really going to be a little bit more decorative for the most part rather than warmth. So rectangular wraps are your friend for those evening out. So make sure you check back for the second part of our shawl shapes, where I'm going to go into slightly more, I won't say complex, but slightly different shapes where you've got a bit more curves and things going on. And that's what we're going to look at next time.